Hi, I am Kevin Quigley, and welcome to Tarot Off the Cuff. I picked up my first tarot deck in 1982 when I was 12 years old. I spent the summer giving readings to my friends and kind of freaking them out, and then I misplaced it. Maybe 15 years later, I picked up another tarot deck, and I've been reading professionally pretty much since then. Tarot reading for me is about building up a conversation. A conversation not just between myself and my client, but between our higher selves, so that we might bring down some information that might help make us a little bit more conscious and maybe even our lives a little bit better. Hello everybody, Kevin Quigley here with Tarot Off the Cuff. I've got an interesting opportunity today, so I thought I would break the form a little bit just to take advantage of the chance to do this. I've got a new deck. I bought it because I saw some of these images online. I thought the art was absolutely exquisite. Now, generally, I do not buy a new deck unless I research through it and I take a look at almost all of the cards. I see what other people, have had to say about it and things like that. This one I didn't do that with. I loved the 6 or 7 images that I saw so much. The one thing I did do is to make sure that it has justice and strength in the way that I use them. I find it very difficult for me if strength shows up as 11 and justice shows up as 8. That breaks me out of a reading really quite directly. And as far as I can tell, this deck does. So, although I couldn't have been sure because of the way the card images were overlapping on there, but I'm pretty sure that it did just by looking at the cards. Now, the name of the deck is the Hush Tarot by Jeremy Hush. There we go, lovely little box. It comes in a great little box. And there's a little book. I almost never look at those things myself, and in fact, I have not looked at the images at all. So let's talk about new decks and stuff. I thought there's a couple of things that we could mention. The first thing that comes to mind for me is that in the tarot publishing world at the moment, counterfeiting has become a major problem. It takes money from the publishers. Most tarot deck publishers are relatively small, and it takes money from the artists. Can you imagine how much work it takes to put together 72 meaningful images this way, regardless of the medium that you work in, right? So what happens is, mostly in China, nefarious individuals or groups of people, companies maybe even, scan new decks and then print out their own copies. The scanning is usually not so good. The paper they use is not so good. Like the counterfeit, not only is it a fake that's not going to send any money to the creators of the deck, but it's also giving you a poor product. So where do these counterfeit decks show up? I've never seen one in a store, but I imagine maybe. But the place where they really appear the most frequently are on the big online shopping things. So you'll find them at Amazon and Walmart.com. These companies are so large that their secondary sellers just sign up to sell something, and there's no real vetting or anything that goes on there. So when possible, buy from a reputable in-person dealer when you can. The next step that I suggest is buy directly from the publisher or from a link that the publisher gives you on their website, right? So go directly to that link, which still may take you to one of these big sellers. But the smaller brick and mortar shops, actually, many of them have online services, and in general, they're pretty good to deal with. In this case, I saw the deck. It was almost an impulse purchase, although it was a guided impulse purchase. Now, the next thing that I do, I make sure that I've got all 72 cards, and then sometimes cards get swapped out. I just saw a post from somebody that got 2 High Priestesses in a deck, and does that mean that there's one card that's missing? It might. Even the reputable publishers occasionally have these problems happen. They happen in printing. It's not really a big deal, and I've had this happen 2 or 3 times over the past 30 years. I've always contacted the publisher, and they've always fixed the problem. One of them wanted me to send the deck back, and then they sent me a new one, and then the other 2 just said keep the broken deck, keep the incomplete deck, and sent me a new one right away. So how great is that, right? But check, make sure that you've got all the cards. And then in the case of the Hush Tarot, the labels at the bottom of the cards were clear enough that I made sure I had 14 for each suit, and then I had the 22 majors. Ooh, I've got a little bit of rain coming in. This is a high quality deck, and I've got the deck just under cover while I'm out in the misty rain. Hurricane Henri is on the way to Vermont. Lastly, shuffle that deck up. I'm a riffle shuffler myself. I'm told by statisticians 2 little facts that I'll give you. The first is that doing a wash. So this is putting all the cards face down on a big table and mixing them up and then putting them together. That is supposed to be, I'm told, the most random way to get a deck mixed. Riffle shuffling, and then in between each riffle, so riffle shuffling is, I don't know if I can do it without a surface, but that's when you're taking your decks this way and then you spin them together. And then in between each one, we do what I call a hand over hand. Now I know this has an actual name, and it might even be hand over hand. I do 2 or 3 of those in between each one. I asked that statistician also, I was like, how many times do you have to shuffle a deck of cards to get it in a completely random order? And I asked this question many years ago, even before I started getting into tarot. So we were talking about a 52 card deck, a poker deck, and he said 7. They've done the research. 7 riffle shuffles get you a random deck. So I thought that was fascinating. Now we've got a fair number of extra cards. So for myself, I've just bump that up to 9. But if there are any statisticians out there in our audience that want to correct my number, I'd love to hear it. But if I really want to make sure I got a random clean deck without any of the other previous reading in it, I shuffle my deck 9 times. Doesn't take very long. And in fact, even like doing a shotgun reading where you're doing fair readings, boom, 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 I generally have enough time to do 9 shuffles in between. It also gives me something to do while I'm looking at people walking by and catching people's eyes and things like that. So it's kind of interesting, right? Shuffling the deck lets people know, oh, I'm working with cards here, right? Then many people take some time to get to know their deck. I think this is great. They'll wrap it in particular cloths. They'll put it on their altar. They'll use sage or incense and things like that. I think that's fine, especially if it's a used deck. Generally, I don't go that far, although if I did buy a used deck, I sometimes will. In this case, this is a new deck from the publisher. It was wrapped in plastic and all of that. Nobody's ever touched these cards before. So I've done all of my shuffling and I've got it completely mixed up. And then for me, I do a get to know you, super informal kind of conversation. So instead of pulling a single card and doing a standard tarot off the cuff reading, I'm thinking I'm going to ask some questions. And here's my first question. What kind of relationship are we going to have, Hush Tarot? So a card from the top of the deck. I can't see it yet. I just want you to see it, and then I'll pull the card up on the screen, and now I'm going to take a look. One of the things, this is a quick technique. I teach this in my classes. It's a really nice way you can get your clients reading for themselves in a reading right away. I call it the quick symbol. You're going to take a quick look at the card and the symbol that jumps off the image for you, and then put the image away. So here we go. All right, so I see we've got some lilies above, a couple of curled, or maybe it's even one big curled leaf, and then the ant sitting on the leaf, and then a few things down in the foreground. But the thing that really jumped out at me first was the leaf. So it's a dried, curled, and fallen leaf. And in fact, when I stepped out on my porch, I think I put it to the side, there was a big oak leaf right in the middle of the porch that I'm sitting over right now. So that seems kind of important. Leaf. Let's talk about the symbol of a leaf. And I don't know what the card is at this point. The leaves are the things that feed the tree. They're sunlight gatherers. So they are power generators. They're in kind of a way the mouth of the tree, although many people would say the root system that pulls things up from the ground is also a mouth system, sure, but for sunlight, right? So gathering energy in and then converting the energy into the fuel that the tree uses to thrive. For deciduous trees that lose their leaves in the fall, these are also sacrificial. They're things that we let go, right? So that's a fascinating thing to me. Like the plant spends all this time putting these leaves out, so it's got a sunlight collection system, so it's got a food generation system, and then it lets them go so it can go to sleep. I am filming right now in August, the end of August. The school year is getting ready to start, and we've got a big hurricane on the way. The raindrops are hitting me right now. I'm in central Vermont, so the hurricanes, as they lose power as they come inland, but we've gotten hit by them a couple of times before. Lots of flash floods and all of that, so power outages and things like that. So that may happen. In this case, got this power generation system, and I asked, what's our relationship going to be like? So this feels to me like this deck is going to feed me. I'm going to learn from this deck. As I glanced through the cards, even online, I loved the art, but I found the images a little bit inscrutable, a little hard to decipher. So I'm actually kind of looking forward to reading with this. That's my next step as I start to read with it. And we develop our little language, our means of communication, the deck and I. So I'm looking forward to that because I can already tell this is going to be quite a different bit of language, and that as I do that, I am going to learn. I'm going to grow as a reader. I like that. Tell me about yourself. Let's draw another card. So I'm going to hold this one up for you to see. This one is reversed. It's upside down. I think in this case, I will read it reversed. I do read with reversed cards, but I'll turn it back upright and then let me take a look at it. Oh, and the other card, I didn't even name what that was. Ooh, it was the wheel. Lots of energy in that thing, so I'm super excited about that, the wheel. Now, card 2. Tell me about yourself. I've got the 8 of Pentacles. In this case, is a card that's about work. It's about building mastery. So there's something about this deck that is going to make me not feel like a master, like I've still got some work to do. Maybe that'll be frustrating, but usually I find that kind of exciting. There's a thing from Steiner, a piece of advice from Steiner for all human beings that says, make sure if you want to keep a youthful, spry, facile mind, make sure that you're always working on something that you're not good at. Right, so I think this deck is going to require a little bit of my time, and I'm going to dig in. All right, so I'm going to dig in. We'll see what happens. I think you'll probably see this coming up in additional 10-minute talks. Let's say, what am I going to need to be able to learn from you? This question comes right from the one that we got an answer for. I'm going to pull this card up. Oh, and in fact, I'm going to hold this down. I talked about that card being a reversal, so I'm thinking maybe it won't be a super comfortable relationship, or maybe it will remind me of the times when I was learning, but still keep in mind the fact that I am good at what I do. Okay, so that's interesting. Then the next thing is what is this going to require of me? What do I need to bring to you in order to hear your voice, to learn from you? And then I get this. I can see in my phone, it's the 5 of Swords. So I'm going to turn it over. And in this case, I've got the individual, there's one sword left in the ground behind him. It took me a while to find that. He's got one sword in his right hand on the left side of the card, holding it downwards. So he's not armed, he's not going into a fight, and he's got 3 swords held up against his shoulder. So rather than the arguments and the fighting and the bickering that a traditional 5 of Swords might lead me to think, this feels really quite self-contained. Maybe he's made his point, literally, he's made his point and he's left it behind, and he's stepping away from the fight. He's put his sword down and he's carrying other weapons away. So there's a piece of learning not to argue. Boy, and how useful would that be? You know, maybe just to have your say and step away. Oh, it's a nice little rhyme. Have your say and step away. Okay, I'll do one more question. What is the hidden gift, the secret gift, the unknown gift that you, Hush Tarot, are bringing to me? Another upright card. I see, I can't really tell. It's the 7. Let me take a look. 7 of Swords, and then this one has a nest full of keys with some sort of a little blackbird carrying that. The secret gift. So 7 for me is a number about magic. It's about potential. It's about mystery, right? And then swords, keys, thoughts, language. So a new language, maybe even, I've been seeing a lot of friends that read tarot and do magic, posting classes and getting things going that way in terms of like actually doing spell work. And in fact, 2 of them are doing sort of mundane, containable spell work to affect your daily life. I don't do a lot of spell work. In fact, I do none, other than doing my best to be aware of sort of the general level of magic and sparkle that exists in life, in daily life. So I'm just about getting started on the next school year, and this school year is a little strange. We've had some change of personnel in my school, and I am teaching a load of classes that I've never picked up before. In the past, I've done all arts of one kind or another, and then a few different athletic things like archery and some of the pentathlon events and things like that. And right now, I'm picking up movement and civics in addition to the music that I've been doing, and I don't have an art class on my schedule. So this is going to be a really interesting year, and that is letting me know that this may be the deck of my year, the deck of making sure that I stay connected to magic. Let me do one quick last question, and this question is for you. What does the Hush Tarot have to say to an audience like this, a YouTube audience? I looked at it first. I want to bring it to you. It's a reversed card. I'll take a quick look at it now. It is the Ace of Swords reversed. I like thinking about aces as beginnings. Yeah, lots of people think of them as the essence or the completion of a particular suit. I like that as well, and I do use it. But right now, I'm thinking of the beginnings. And this deck in particular. So since I'm using it, and it's going to be a new journey for me, and we've got that 8 that's about doing some work and stuff, and that one was reversed too as well, I think. So getting started but feeling a little twitchy and strange about it. This one also may be a deck that takes a look at countering and handling problems. The moments when we feel uncomfortable about something, right? So I like that too. So I'm going to bring this deck out when I've got a twitch or a moment to think, okay, let's get into something really meaty here, or something that might be controversial, where my opinion may be unpopular or something like that. So my name is Kevin Quigley. Thank you so much for being here. We took a quick break of form to take a look at learning, doing almost a little mini reading just for myself to start a conversation between me and Jeremy Huscher's Hush Tarot. You've been watching Tarot Off the Cuff. Bye-bye. Hi, thanks for watching. This is Kevin Quigley with Tarot Off the Cuff. If you can take a second, click the subscribe button down below. That'll let you know when a new video is posted and you might want to jump over and watch it. If you hit the thumbs up for the videos that you really like, that will help spread the word so new people will find Tarot Off the Cuff in their feed, and that helps the channel grow. That would be great. And if you got a question or a comment, positive or negative, whether you agree or disagree, or if you want to add information or your own take on a particular card or a particular topic, put a comment down below. We would love to hear from you. Thanks so much.